Hello everyone, my name is Diego Alfonso, one of your hosts with the Florida Aviation Network, broadcasting live and in the clear from the Florida Air Museum at the Sun and Fun Complex in Lakeland, Florida. We're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Sun and Fun Fly-In and Exposition. Today, our guests are Ms. Marci Veronie, Vice President of Sales from Avemco Insurance Company, and Mike Adams, which is Vice President of Underwriting of Avemco Insurance. Marci,
hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alfonso.
Mark, welcome to the show. I'll tell you one thing, I feel safer already that you guys are here. So, Marci, I understand Avemco's got a whole slew of things coming up on the works, for all their insurers and aviation in general, I assume. But before we get into the meat of things, what I really would like to do is I'd like you to kind of let our audience know, how did you get into Avemco and what is your relationship with airplanes and the aviation industry
Sure.
related to the insurance?
Sure. Well, I went to school to be a paralegal assistant, and while looking for a job in that field, I started a temp job at Avemco Insurance Company. And I didn't know much about aviation other than I've been to air shows with my father before. And I started working with the experimental department, and I thought, man, this is kind of cool. And from there, I just went from the ultralight department to turbines, and here we are in May. I'll be with Avemco 27 years. The last 20 years, I've been speaking to pilots about aviation insurance, and I've been speaking to about 30 pilots a day. So my life pretty much revolves around airplanes and people and the passion for airplanes. I travel to every show, and I have for the last 15 years. I'm a member of Women in Aviation. I'm a member of my local chapter in Washington, D.C., the Capital Region chapter. Sorry, shout out. And I have a few hours in a Cessna 172, a few in a J3 Cub. I passed my written, and I've been through ground school. And my coworker here, Mike Adams, graciously takes me up in our Cessna 172S Redbird Sim. He made me fly the Grand Tetons a couple of weeks ago. So that's pretty much my background.
That is great. That is great. And so if I ever have a chance to call and I want some insurance and I get to talk to you,
yes,
you're going to steer me the right way.
You bet I will.
Okay. Mike, let's go ahead along the same lines and tell us what is your aviation background and how that led you into your position in Avemco.
Well, like 99% of us right now, I've been interested in general aviation or being a pilot since I was a youngster. So it's a natural progression after I got my private pilot certificate out in Hillsboro, Oregon, that I got into working with aviation sales as an agent. I started out with National Aviation Underwriters in Portland, Oregon. I have been doing this for 30 plus years, both as a pilot and as a aviation agent and underwriter. I've had the pleasure between National Aviation Underwriters and Avemco Insurance of running regional offices on the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest, where I underwrote in Alaska, the 5 Pacific Northwest states. Then I transferred down to our Dallas-Fort Worth office and had the Central U.S. as part of my territory. And then after that, I moved back to Frederick, Maryland. So I can safely say I've been an aviator, an insurance agent, and underwriter coast to coast. And that's what makes it interesting and fun for me, and also beneficial to our customers, is that because I have experience all across the U.S., when we put our underwriters like Marci into the simulator, I can take them to places that you read about, but until you've actually been there, it's tough to imagine. And I'm going to pick on Floridians for just a minute. You take off and you fly at 2,500 feet, and that's as high as you need to go anywhere.
That's right.
So as Marci said, I put them over into Jackson Hole, and the field elevation is about 4,500 feet, and I say, okay, here's your ceiling, there are the Grand Tetons, because the simulator's got a very good visual. And I said, we're going to Driggs, Idaho. How are you going to get there? And so, I mean, the first thing is, how do we figure out to get there and stuff? And then they're going, okay, so now when I'm dealing with someone out of Idaho or the Montana mountain region or Colorado, Wyoming, I know what they're dealing with as an underwriter, so I can work with them to make sure that the policy is tailored to their coverages. But enough about me. Let's talk a little more about Avemco.
Well, I understand that Avemco, besides just selling insurance, has a lot of things on their plate to help the aviation community. And according to my notes here, one of the first things that come to mind is safety rewards / wings. Marci, could you please give us a little insight into that?
Yes. Safety rewards. As an insurance company, of course, we want pilots and we want airplanes to insure. And being the underwriter for the company, we see the person when they come in the door, but we also see them when and if, God forbid, they have a claim. And seeing those every Friday, we'd have a meeting, we'd talk about claims, and what can we do to educate our pilot? I mean, there's CFIs out there, there's people out there, but we have so much data that maybe we can help. So that's kind of how it started, just like a brain trust in a Friday morning meeting. But Safety Rewards is a program that rewards anyone that goes out and does anything above and beyond a flight review. If you go out with an instructor and maybe go get your tail dragger rating or complex, or just go up and practice landings. If you take any wings safety, FAAsafety.gov is where the wings program resides now. If you take any of those courses, the King courses, we reward you by crediting your policy premium. 5% for any groundwork, 5% for anything you do in the air. And we started this in the hopes that a lot of our policyholders would take advantage of it. It's a credit to induce training. We have those that are all for it, and we have some policyholders that maybe they don't know about it, or they feel like they don't want to do the training, but we try to explain. There's data that proves if you have 10,000 hours and only fly 50 hours a year, and Mike only has 300 hours, but he's continuously training, Mike has a better loss record than Diego. We have the data that proves it. So that's how it started. And so we just want to reward any of our policyholders that go out and do anything above and beyond what they would normally do in the training. And
it's funny, I've learned that now because I'm a CFI at heart. I mean, I do a lot of safety seminars to boot. And one of the things that I bring about to their attention is you need to keep training.
Correct.
Look, baseball players and football players, they know the pass, they know how to handle the ball, but yet they do it over and over and over again. And unfortunately, I think our industry, pilots, me included, before I learned, it's like we get our rating and we think we're here. Now we're just going to wait for 24 months to go. No, I think that is a win-win situation, because it not only helps Avemco, but it helps our aviation industry.
Correct.
And helps the pilots to avoid mistakes and accidents and incidents. And that's a great program. Mike, would you like to add anything to that?
Well, yeah, there are a couple other benefits both to our customer and to Avemco with this program. And it kind of ties into when we're speaking before the cameras went live about your training and apprehension, and a lot of the training and testing with pilots is mental. is that if we can get everyone into the mindset that an annual checkup, basically, we all go to an annual physical every year, hopefully over a certain age, is beneficial to them. And so if we can attract that kind of a pilot, get everyone thinking that way, they're going to do that on an annual basis. And it helps us in the event that they do have an accident or a mishap, that we can defend their assets and settle the policy limits claim quickly, because we can now go back and say, yes, this individual has done over and above the FAA required minimums. They're a current safe pilot. This truly was an accident and not gross negligence on the part of our pilot. It makes our defense and settlement and our customers' lives a lot easier.
Oh, I'm a believer in that. Whenever I finish a check ride, as I was telling you before, I'm a pilot examiner. And I always tell the applicant or the pilot after we finish, I said, remember, the process of forgetting begins now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you did very good up to this point because you trained for this.
Correct.
But the minute you get in that car and you start driving back home, the process of forgetting all the stuff that you've done begins.
Exactly.
Don't let that happen for too long. I really believe that I'll tell you, it's a great program. I
Yes.
really do, and it's a great incentive for everybody involved, and especially for the FAA safety program, which I really believe that I've done a lot of safety seminars. I really believe that the people that come to safety seminars are the least like pilots to get in trouble out
Yes.
there. That is a known fact. And I'm glad that Avemco is doing
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Okay, I
Thank
have
you.
another note here, and
Okay.
and this comes along my because I'm also a mechanic, and I see here build a plane.
Yes.
And would you like to get us started on that?
Oh yes, I would. Bad things do happen. They're called accidents. And so Avemco ends up owning several destroyed airplanes. So we've got salvage out there. It's an airplane that has no value for rebuild to go back into the market, a constructive total loss. Well, Build a Plane is a program that goes into high schools, and it's like when you and I were younger, they had the auto mechanic shop that you could take as part of your electives in high school and stuff. Well, they've started to work this into aviation, so they can get the mathematics involved in it, they can get the training to be an A&P or an IA. So where do they get an airplane or an old fuselage or a wing or an engine to overhaul or work on? Well, here's Avemco with some destroyed aircraft that we never want to see fly again because they'd be unsafe. They don't have much value to the market unless there's some parts on it. So we can donate some of this salvage to the Build a Plane program. It goes out to a high school that they've said, we're going to get into this program, set it up, and use instructors to have students basically deconstruct the airplane, put it back together, or as much as the airplane as they have. It was a program that was started by Lynn Freeman, and it's been going for, I want to say, about 5 years. It may be longer, don't quote me on that. But it's been very successful in the schools. They've put it in, and we're happy to support it and participate in that, because you got to have good mechanics to keep good airplanes. You have good pilots to fly them. It's kind of the complete circle of life, so to speak.
I think it started with Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, didn't it? We had
Yes.
we had a lot of airplanes from Katrina that, of course, under seawater,
Oh, that's right, when
yeah,
the
would not
hurricane-
be able to be flown again.
Exactly.
So we were able to donate quite a few airplanes from the Katrina.
Instead of collecting dust somewhere,
Right.
and I'll
Yeah, in
tell
the
you,
graveyard.
I can relate to that because I'm also an A&P. Probably didn't know that, but I'm an A&P. And I attended a vocational high school way
Okay.
back, and then I was a helper for quite a few years before I got my my license, and that is tremendous help because all these shops and everything else, the hands-on work, it cannot be replaced by looking at the real thing like they have
That-
here.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
for
These
sure.
correct.
cutaways. I was just watching at that engine over there before how they'll cut away and you can make it work and you can see the inner parts working. I mean, that's just an unbelievable thing. So,
Yes.
Okay. Now I think we're coming to a point that we're really going to touch, I think, some nerves out there. And he talks about youth aviation adventure.
Yes.
I open the floor, whether
Okay.
You can go
Want me to
first.
start?
Yeah.
Youth Aviation Adventure is an outfit out of Ohio. Ohio State University is involved. And for the past 2 years, we've given them a monetary donation. But last year at Oshkosh, they asked if we would sit down and meet with them and learn more about the organization and maybe get more involved. And after watching their video, they had a video on an iPad of what they do for these kids, we decided to get more involved, of course, monetarily. And then also we are sponsoring a talk that they are going to give Saturday here at the CFAA building at 9 a.m. And it's how to put on one of these aviation adventures at your airport. And it's 4.5 hours long.
Correct.
There's about 10 different stations, and it's put on by all aviation-related volunteers. So you, as a A&P, or maybe in your CFI, you would teach a little segment about mechanics. Some of them have these turbine engines for the kids. Another session is aerodynamics, cockpit management. Sometimes they bring on emergency equipment and show the kids how they foam the runway. They don't actually foam the runway, but it qualifies for the Boy Scout aviation patch, and I think it meets all the qualifications but one for the Girl Scout patch. But they have them, it's just one-day events all across the country, and it's pretty fantastic when you see the kids afterwards. They're so energized, and of course it's our hope and everyone's hope that these kids then later on in life, maybe it's the spark that they need to go forward.
Exactly. I really think that the work that all organizations involved in aviation are doing with kids is great, because we need to keep the industry growing.
I agree.
And also, a kid may be inspired to fulfill their dream that maybe otherwise they thought they could never get there.
Yeah.
And so anything that is done in that regard is just exceptional. Now, I have a note here that I took before, and I see that because, pilots out there may be familiar with Avemco, others may not be familiar with Avemco, but I see that you have customized insurance policies. I'm somebody that wants insurance. How would that work for me or affect me?
I'll take it from the underwriting side. We wrote a very comprehensive plain language policy. Initially came out in 1993, and we named it the Direct Approach 2000, which worked great for about 7 years, by the way. Okay. And then in 2000, we dropped it to the Direct Approach Aircraft Policy. So now we can go on to infinity. But what it is it's designed for the private pilot or the flying club. We also insure a lot of experimental and home builds. We are in the light sport aviation market on certain models and things. But we can work, as I said earlier, like putting Marci in the sim, we can work with the individual to say, how are you using the airplane, where are you going, what are the exposures, and put together coverages. We have some minimum training checkout requirements that we'll put on a policy periodically. We've already talked about our safety rewards program, that if we can get you to do some advanced training or additional training every year, then we'll give you a credit for that, because we can prove in our statistics that you're going to have a lower loss ratio or a potential of a claim on it. So we're not a one size, here's our one policy, here's the one limit, take it or leave it. We can set limits that have to do with state requirements, airport requirements, your personal requirements of what you feel comfortable with. We've got the flexibility on insuring hull values, depending upon what kind of restoration work you've done on the airplane, anything like that. So we don't necessarily dictate, in fact, we never dictate what kind of coverages you have. We'll give some recommendations as to maximum limits we can offer or what society will accept. And we've got a very good track record in protecting our customers within those policy limits. One of the things that's nice about the policy is that, let's say I write you $1 million liability limit. You do have an accident. I have unlimited legal defense funds to protect your assets and get it settled within the policy limit. So it's not like I start with $1 million and I start chipping away on legal fees and then I end up with $100,000. I've still got the full $1 million on the policy limit. and I may spend another $3 or $4 million to defend you and get you settled within that policy.
But that million would remain intact.
That million would remain intact to settle claims and pay plaintiffs for you. On the hull value, the thing that's nice, the way we write this, is we write a stated value policy. So when you buy a policy from Avemco, right up front, you know what the value of the plane is. So in the event of a total loss, let's say it's a Katrina loss or something like that, we pay you the value on the policy. There's no haggling afterwards as what the plane is really worth. We charge a premium that's appropriate to the value on it, but we all agree up front, you know exactly what you're getting. And unlike the auto industry, and nothing negative about the auto industry, when you get your auto policy, you'll see your liability limits, but when you look at the comprehensive and collision coverage, you'll see deductibles, but you'll never see a value.
That's right.
They negotiate the value after the accident. We negotiate the value prior to the accident with the policy inception, and then we meet the obligations of the policy.
In other words, I don't have to wear my glasses to look at the fine print.
No, we're all getting older, so we've made it fairly large. So
If I could just give one
Sure.
example to that, when customized, we like that word because if you own a seaplane, perhaps you don't fly it all year on floats. Maybe you want to go to wheels. As an Avemco customer, you can call me and say, you know what, Marci, put me down on wheels, which will reduce your premium, and then you just pay me the wheel rate, and then when you're ready to go floats, ba-boom, I make a change, you go to floats. We have that flexibility, and we can customize it to what Diego does. You're not in the same lump as every other float
Exactly.
plane owner. So,
It's according to my needs.
You got it.
That's what,
yeah.
Now, there's another area that I think is really important for the audience to understand, and that is that not only you have to own an airplane to be insured by Avemco. I believe that if you are just a pilot,
Yes.
how would you?
Renters, people
Okay.
that rent or borrow friends' airplanes, we offer a liability policy, basically that protects you when you jump into something you do not own. And again, you can customize that to your needs. If you're flying a $15,000 150, you could just buy $15,000 worth. If you're flying a $150,000 worth of airplane, you could do the same thing there. So, yeah,
the
it's a great little
customized
policy.
Concept applies whether I'm a renter
Or an owner.
or owner.
That's
Great.
correct.
Now, I also, go ahead.
we have one more segment that I'd like to cover is that if you're a partial owner of an airplane, we insure flying clubs. So we insure an awful lot of flying clubs. And one of the benefits of our policy is that we insure both the club itself as an entity, and then we insure the individual members for their personal liabilities. So let's say that we're all in the Sun and Fun Flying Club, and you're flying the 172, you have an accident. Sun and Fun Flying Club will be defended by Avemco, and then you personally, as the pilot operating the plane at the time of the loss, will be defended under Avemco. And there's no subrogation against you on the hull. We pay the hull claim, and then it's done. We go on from there. So we
Correct.
can take care of all kinds of aspects of it. In addition, on the non-owned, I want to get in a little bit of a plug. You mentioned being an examiner in a CFI. We are the insurance
hit you
company
up.
for the National Association
gonna
of
be my
Flight
next
Instructors. Okay, and it's a very comprehensive policy for certificated flight instructors. And when I say very comprehensive, in that our policy will protect you if you're a member of NAFI and have the NAFI policy. It will protect you not only while you're in the non-owned airplane giving the instruction, but it picks up the liability for any prior instruction that you've given. So let's say that you buy a policy from Avemco today, and so we've got the coverage on it, it's a NAFI policy. You had given someone a check ride a year and a half ago. They have an accident tomorrow. They or their estate come back against you and say, well, that check ride 18 months ago was inadequate, so Diego, you're liable for it. Well, we have a policy in place that says, yep, that was instruction that you gave on it. The loss occurred during the policy period. We're going to tender a defense for you on that. So it's a terrific program. There aren't any oddball tales or claims made versus claims occurrence type things. It's you're a member of NAFI. If you have an Avemco NAFI policy in place, you've got the coverage.
Okay, and can I have your phone number? 'Cause
Yes.
I'm going to be calling you.
All right, okay. The best,
We take credit cards.
all right, best one to use, and I'd like to say it'll be on the screen, is 1-800-638-8440.
$84.40.
Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I just, in keeping with the theme of building a brighter future for aviation, I would say anytime you have a chance to mentor someone or to send a child, and not even a child, somebody my age or older that has always been involved in aviation and just isn't sure where to go, help them.
Now, I saw something in your website that I want to mention, and maybe you can expand on this. It says that you're A+, you're rated A+. What is that about?
You want to address that one?
We
or-
got the best grade in school ever.
No.
AM Best is a company that rates insurers based on financial stability and how they handle claims. And they give you a grade, almost like a school grade. And we're very proud to say we have an A+ rating, and we have since
1977.
Wow.
Yeah, very proud.
Yeah.
Means we're stable, we're not going anywhere, we will pay your claim if
I think
something
definitely I want
happens.
to call you.
Yeah,
now.
and the essence of it means is that any of our current claims we've got reserved and we have the wherewithal to pay it. Any of the forecast future claims based on our past history, we've got the wherewithal to take care of those, plus the operating capital. So it's not like we're going to go away tomorrow if we have a horrendous claim
Right.
today. We've got everything fully reserved so that if you do have something happen at any time during the policy period, we'll be there 100% to protect you.
Okay, now there's one more topic that I want to touch on, and that has to do with everybody that insures with, regardless what company, there's always in the back of the mind that thing, well, what if I do have an accident? How fast, how fair, how are these people going to treat me? So I want to pose that question to you. God forbid I have an accident tomorrow. What do I look forward from Avemco?
Well, we've had a hull claim that as soon as the documentation came in of the correct ownership, the insured value, and no liens on it, that we've cut the check the day. We've settled hull claims within 3 to 4 days if the customer's been able to provide that information to us. If there's a liability claim involved, that kind of depends on how the plaintiff moves and their timing in filing that claim to get it settled. But our intent is to get your plane repaired and back in the air as quickly as possible, or get the hull claim settled in a total loss so you can go out and procure a new airplane, get back in the air as quickly as possible, and we can issue you a new policy on the new airplane.
Diego, I tell people, talk to the mechanics, talk to the shops, and ask them when you're involved in fixing a claim, who pays?
Okay.
And I think you'll hear my name.
Okay, I see. And then that goes directly to Avemco, and Avemco goes right to the scene, so to speak.
Right. The benefit of being insured with Avemco is you're dealing with the insurance company when you purchase the policy, and you're dealing with the insurance company during the settlement of a claim.
Exactly. It is more like a direct kind of
Yes.
connection.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Instead of going through channels, red tape, and
Correct.
and
Correct.
all that good stuff. Now, I don't know. I think we talked about this before, but I know of Avemco for many years, and on my CFI days, I even trained one of the Avemco representatives out of Orlando, and I remember he was working on his instrument at the time, because whenever the weather was bad and he needed to go on a claim, he couldn't go if the weather was bad. And I remember he saying that to me. He says, well, the reason why I need to get my, because we want to get there quick. And I should be there quick. I shouldn't be driving if I could fly. And I always, that always stay in the back of my mind. So,
Nice.
Marci and
Nice.
Mike, it's a pleasure to have you guys
Thank
here.
you.
It's a pleasure to know all that Avemco is doing for the industry, especially for the young kids. But it's that time that we're going to have to say goodbye because the clock is relentless.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to meet you again.
Thank you.
Wish you the best on all those
I really
programs that
appreciate
you
it.
are
Thank
that
you.
are
Well,
doing.
thank you for having us on.
Oh, it's a pleasure for us and for our audience. And thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Diego Alfonso. I'm with the Florida Aviation Network, and we will see you very soon.